Guys, welcome to the True Football Show, episode 3. Now, as you can see, I've been posting all week about this show, and there was 4 people. Latimer's Prime is running late, a bit like Chelsea trying to win the league title. That went late, but I'm sure he'll be around. Tony, as you know, I've had him on my show before, and I have the true Mank, what I call him, MCF Daps. Even if
Southern
he's a
Mank.
fan, he's a true Mank in my eyes, just like myself. Even though I support the better side, he supports Stockport.
You support Salford.
But tonight, guys, it's not about what's going on at the moment, who's above who, or who's top of the table, or who's better than everybody else. Tonight, it is literally the love of the game and how we got into supporting the teams we supported, memories that we've had, favourite players, and stuff like that. Latimus can just join if he wants. I'll get cracking. So, Anthony, I'll start with you. How long have you supported Arsenal for?
I've supported Arsenal for the past 30 years of my life.
Yeah, cool.
For the past 30 years of my life.
How about you, Daps? How long have you supported City?
37 years. 37 years, give or take.
Yeah.
Depends. It's a hard one. It's a hard one because when you're a kid, you kind of don't really know who you support, do you?
But
certainly.
I yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was my first thing. So my real dad is actually from Watford. So
Okay.
my real dad.
That's in London.
Yeah. So and supported Watford as well. But my mum remarried, and my mum was from Barnet.
Right.
My mum remarried when I was 3 and moved up to Manchester. So apparently I did go to Watford's ground before I went to Main Road, apparently, but I can't remember it.
No.
And one thing I do remember is I used to get bought both shirts, and it was just like the mint. Unfortunately, living in Manchester, you've got no need for a Watford shirt whatsoever.
Definitely not. No, definitely not. But yeah, so there you go, guys. There is a City fan that was a City fan before the money. And that's why he gets my respect.
There's quite a few of us out there. You just have to find them. You know what? If you go to Manchester, you'll find them. Outside of Manchester, I'm not gonna lie, it's quite hard. There are some of us. There are some of us.
Stockport way. Yeah, that way. Yeah, I mean, my dad's a City fan, so obviously I've supported United since birth. People say, how can you support your team? I came out with my mum, red horns on my head, red tail, singing, "I'd rather shag a bucket than be a City fan." And my dad weren't very happy about it, but oh well. People say to me, "Why do I support United and my dad supports City?" And the simple answer is I was born with class. So it's got nothing.
2 points going so far. 2 points so far. About class. Do you know? Talking of class, do you know what United did today? They threw paint all over a memorial of Pep Guardiola. That is very classy, I must say.
What, United fans?
Shots fired.
I've not seen that, but you'll have to show it me.
Classy acts from the Salford boys.
Not true fans, in my opinion. That's all day long.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, Daps, why City?
So yeah, my dad. So my dad that raised me, he was City. His dad was City. It's all I've. Yeah, wasn't really. Yeah. I mean, of course, there was the option of Watford, I guess, but I lived in Manchester at the time. I lived there, and funnily enough, what you actually say about Stockport, I lived in Poynton when I first moved up there, which is very close to Stockport. So, but yeah, my sisters are both City. Coincidentally, my brother-in-law, so my sister, went against my dad and married a Scouser, and also a Scouser whose dad was one of the founders of the charity group for Hillsborough. So quite involved. He's born and bred Anfield. But both their kids support City as well. So
cool.
Be good.
And Anthony, why Arsenal?
It's just quite simple. Because my dad was always moving from country to country because he worked at the consulate. So at the time he was posted to London, was working at the consulate in London. So we lived in Islington area of North London. So it was just quite good to just feel the breeze and feel the fresh air around North London. But it happened that I always did love the red side of London, So that aura, it feels so good. And again, as a person, as a young person, I never really liked white per se. Of
Got to be
course.
careful saying that these days, Anthony. Yeah.
I never really liked wearing white, So yeah, I always liked this kind of like dark colors, like blue, dark blue, red,
Yellow.
And then there was a time I just saw that JVC jersey.
Yeah.
Can you remember the JVC jersey?
Yeah, I remember the JVC one.
Yeah.
The old shirts are the best.
Oh my God!
Like
that, and it had a kind of like this retro kind of color,
Yes.
Do you know what? Do you know? Even with the kits now, sometimes people take the kits from now and put the old sponsors on them just to see what they look like, and they look better. The minute you put Brother
totally agree.
on a city, it doesn't matter what city kit. If you put Brother on it, it looks better. I don't know if that's something in our brain that it just takes us back to our childhood.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the sharp one.
The sharp one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was my first ever shirt. But obviously, this is an adult one. 92, 93 Christmas.
Yeah. I've still got quite a few of mine.
I've never thrown any of mine away.
Yeah.
Even the shirt that's got Carlos Tevez on the back, I've still got it.
Well, you lot never really disliked him, did you? Really?
But again, Carlos Tevez was,
he
served Manchester United, right? It's just that, he saw
and
the money.
It's annoying. It's one of my favourite shirts as well. Yeah, it's the blue 50th anniversary shirt that they did in 08. Just after we won the World Club Cup. So it's got the World Club badge on it. It's got the 50-year, I'm not sure exactly what it said. And then it's got Tevez on the back. And I'm like, typical. But yeah. So, Anthony, who was your first hero? As in football?
It's kind of like very, very mixed for me because I did like two players very, very much extensively. The first one was Beckham. You can't deny the humility.
Beckham.
Yeah, Beckham.
Wow.
Yeah,
Beckham.
Yeah, Beckham.
Beckham. Hold on, Beckham or Bergkamp?
Bergkamp. Yeah.
Bergkamp.
I was going to say, what the hell? Right, I get it now. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he was such a scintillating player. Not that electric. He wasn't this guy that would just give you those typical electric vibes of a typical number 9. It wasn't heavy. He wasn't this guy that looked too strong. It was just this lanky guy. Blonde hair. But he was very, very humble. That was the thing that struck me about him. And of course, in the first season when he came to Arsenal from Inter Milan, he struggled. He struggled to get those goals in. There were lots of comparison, lots of talk in the papers. Is this the Dutch flop, and everything like that. But in the second season, Arsene Wenger just,
transformed.
I don't just know what clicked, that season.
That second season thing.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, we all know when a striker just gets that first goal, at the start of the season, it just follows all through the season. You get that confidence back, and from
Trust
there.
me, I know at the moment. I fully know at the moment.
Yeah, and he just went with the flow, and he just kept scoring from there. I
think the other thing that's worth saying as well is when you say that he was humble, because he was humble, but
very.
Another reason why that was more obvious is because he was, if you remember, that Dutch team, that Holland team were.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever won much, but they were very good. They were very, very good. They probably but they also had a lot of arrogance issues in their team. That's why they kept falling out. Yeah. So for Bergkamp to come from that team, and I think there are debates about, obviously, probably most people would say Henry is the best player to ever play in the Premier League. But
Definitely,
you know what?
he's my second. But yeah,
But
I've always said Bergkamp's better than Henry.
Bergkamp was very important to Henry. Like, would
Yeah.
Henry have been the player he was without Bergkamp next to him? And would he have learnt as much that he did as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Bergkamp was a proper player, man. Proper.
He was
Exactly,
a very proper one.
Who-
You know,
who was
and
your-
the second was Thierry Henry. He's my hero. You
Mhm.
know, yeah. If you're talking about the person I look up to, it was Bergkamp, because he was just very humble. After all those achievements, but Thierry Henry is my hero. The goals scored, his personality. Of course, it doesn't come out too humble per se, but there was just this silent kind of like.
I
Does
don't
that
think he came.
oomph
No,
about
I get you. He never, despite the fact he was Thierry Henry and he did the adverts with the Vavavoom and everything, I never thought the guy was arrogant. Never ever thought the guy was arrogant.
No.
He I wouldn't say he was. I get it.
He
There was a
wasn't
humbleness.
arrogant.
For how big he was, there was a humbleness about him. For how
about
big
him?
he was.
Yeah,
Yeah. For how big he
I
was.
said that
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
True,
Mhm.
true.
Yeah. Shout out to DJ. Nice joining you, mate. So, Daps, who was your first hero?
Yeah, interested in hearing this one.
I've got a few ideas who it might be, but
There's three. There's are there three? Three or four. Right. My overall one is Uwe Rosler.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Uwe Rosler. 28. It's 28 Rosler on the back of my shirt. Multiple shirts. Other people, King Clancy, I'd never say he was my hero. He was he's the one player that I wish we could have now in this team, because I think he could be the difference in this team.
Yes.
But then just before those two, Keith Curl, and Gary Flitcroft as well.
Yes, Flitcroft. Yeah. I mean, growing up with a United dad, obviously, I know quite a few of the City, like Steve McMahon.
Yeah. But the problem is he's related to Liverpool, so I can't.
Yeah, no.
In the mix.
Yeah, and then you've got obviously Niall Quinn.
Yeah,
great City legend. I think everybody knows who mine is. My first hero was actually not who everybody thinks. My first United hero was actually Dion Dublin.
Wow.
Why I like Dion, I do not know. He came into the team. I was young when I was really starting to get into watching United, supporting United. I supported him from birth, day one, but 92, 91 was roughly when I started. When I was about 4 or 5. But yeah, he was my first hero, and it was a shame that it's a shame he broke his leg against. I don't much. No, was it called? I can't remember now.
I'm trying to think what era Dion Dublin would have been in.
He joined United at the first Premier League season, so 92, 93.
Oh, right, okay. So
yeah, and then he broke his leg, and as everybody knows, he broke his leg. Leeds United phoned up Old Trafford asking about Dennis Irwin. Ferguson told him no, and then Ferguson went, "Can we have Cantona?" And
okay. So he came. So Cantona came in. So Cantona came in as a replacement for Dublin.
Yeah.
Okay, and Dublin came from Coventry, right?
No, he came from Cambridge United.
Was it Cambridge?
Yep. We sold him to Coventry.
Right, okay, got
and then in the 96-97 season, he actually won the Golden Boot. At Coventry, got 18 goals. I think he shared it with 2 other people. But Dion Dublin is the only player that's ever left United, and I've gone out of my way to find out how he's doing. So teletext, obviously, in the old days. If you don't know what teletext is, guys, seriously Google it, because there's probably youngsters here that are going, "What's teletext? What's teletext?"
Used to book holidays to him as well.
Yeah. And then you used to have to look for the hold button, and you're like, "Oh no, I've missed it," and then you have to wait like 2 hours for it to come back around. Yeah.
Did you know how his trophy haul was? Any idea?
Who?
Dion Dublin's.
Yes.
I didn't get many trophies.
He he won a Premier League medal with United the second season because he literally just played enough. But other than that, he didn't win any more trophies. I think he won the playoff. I think he helped get Cambridge promoted, and that's when he got noticed. So he probably got a medal either by playoff. I think it may have been the playoffs. But and he got to the League Cup final with Villa. I want to say 2000 and lost. I think to Chelsea. But I mean, he's one of these players that scored 100+ goals, and and for me, he was a top striker, top guy, and yeah, he was actually my first hero. But then Cantona, and he's my biggest hero of all time. So I mean, there's just nothing you can say that. I mean, Cantona was just magnifique, genius. Made his debut against City.
Did he?
In November '92. So, as a football fan, Daps, what is your greatest moment, like as a City fan, ever?
93-20.
Yeah,
100%. It's the only trophy I got to celebrate with my dad before he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
One of the only times I've actually had me and my dad both cry together. Yeah, it's not even debatable. It's
I'm sorry about that, Daps. Sorry about that.
No. It's a good thing that they you know what? Most of my life, I never thought I'd get to see City win a trophy. So the fact that me and my dad get to see them lift a trophy together, very special day. Very, very. I remember in the morning, I'd said to my because we didn't go to the game. My dad wasn't very well, and I'd said to my fiance at the time, I'm going around my mum and dad's to watch the game. You're welcome to come, but it might get a bit wild, might get a bit emotional. Now, obviously, the way it went, us being 2-1 down until I think about the 90th minute, and then Zeko scored. Then thought, we're still not going to get a third. And then when when Aguero scored, it was just, my God. And then probably for the next half hour, tears stop, then Company would be interviewed, tears stop, then Aguero would be interviewed, tears. It was, just an amazing day, man. Amazing day.
Yeah, I remember that day. City was on TV, United was on TV, but I wasn't allowed to watch United, so I had to find a stream.
Oh, really?
I was watching United. My dad was watching City, and well, it was a good day and a bad day.
So you finished watching it first. When you finished watching it first, quite happy.
Sorry, say it again.
You finished watching it probably about a minute before your dad.
Yeah.
Quite happy. Quite happy.
I wasn't celebrating or anything like that. I was waiting. And then when City scored, when Dzeko scored, I knew you were going to score. I just knew it. Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it so many times with United. We've scored and then gone on to score a winner.
Something I just knew. We do as well. Yeah, it's like the playoff final. The playoff final for us against Gillingham was similar. And the other one I would say as well was this season as well, because I was at the game this season and
this season
last season. Sorry, to be 2-0 down.
Yeah, I saw your photos.
Come back the way we did. That was
great.
That was
and it was against Gerrard, so it was even more better. He's still not won a league title for Liverpool. But my dad cried when City won, and I said to my mum, I said,
"Why it would happen? Did we?" That was the whole thing. It was like we never thought this would happen.
He was crying. He was crying because his dad, who was a City fan, never saw it.
Right,
that's why he was crying. Yeah. But as a United fan, I went up to him, shook his hand, wished him congratulations. A year later, United won the league. He didn't do it. He's never once congratulated me after.
But you'd won it before. But
even after a Manchester derby, if City win, I'll go over to him, congratulate him, shake his hand. He won't do that. He won't do that with me. Never.
Never. Listen, it's that banner. It's that banner. You lot should not have put that banner up. We were not relevant. There was no need for that banner. No one was talking about it.
Obviously.
But that's being a Manklo. People say, was the rivalry between City and United when City was shit? And
hell yeah, there was.
And you have to be a Mank to really appreciate it.
Listen, there's Man United and Liverpool rivalry is different to the Man City Man United rivalry.
I,
They're different
I
rivalries.
I hate Liverpool.
Yeah, well, my dad hates Liverpool. My dad, I felt like my dad hated Liverpool more than he hated Man United. But it was just, it wasn't a hate for, but it's not hate for, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't a hate for Liverpool Football Club. It was a hate for Liverpool, literally. Liverpool.
Literally.
Yeah. The place doesn't like the place or people from there. And that is, it's just an old Manchester Liverpool thing. But the City United thing is football. It's all about football.
But okay. There was someone when you posted Daps, because I follow your page, and you're also one of my models before I got into podcasting. Really, I always watched you on Never a Foul.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. And you posted something on IG, and I think you're looking back at the legendary playbacks between Manchester City and Manchester United. I think you just posted it like 2 days ago or so.
Yeah. So I'm doing them every day. I'm doing one every day, and I've said to Cass, who's the other host on our channel who supports United, I've said he should do the same, because I'm picking all of City's greatest moments. So I said he should do one for United's moments. Look, they've got more than us at the moment, but
yeah. So and then you posted something, and there was a guy who was in your comment, CK King or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
He's Arsenal fan, so I follow him.
Gunner King.
Yeah, he's a gunner. Yeah, he's a gunner.
Yeah.
And then I think he was making a rebuttal for what happened between us and my show, and then because it was in that same comment where you posted that picture, and then he was saying something like Manchester City never had that heritage or that history. What would you say to a comment like that when someone comes at you and says that Manchester City doesn't have any history or heritage?
So do you know what I'd say to that? I'm not even going to talk. I'm not going to respond on behalf of City fans. For me, history. Firstly, there's history and there's trophies. They're two different things. Now, actually, we do have trophies. We did. Don't anyone that thinks City never won a trophy before 2010, we did. Did we win as many as Man United or as many as Liverpool? No. But to say we didn't win trophies, however, forget that. History, right? That's to say a football club doesn't have history is disrespectful to every single football club, because unlike City, there are actually quite a lot of clubs out there that really have never won a trophy. But are you telling their fans, and some of their fans that have been going for 60, 70, 80 years, that their club's got no history? Listen, Steve once said to me that his best memories were when we were in the second division, right? Because all of his mates, they could just go wherever they want, all together, get tickets, not a problem. And there's some of his best memories. So football is not all about trophies, right?
Yeah.
And when they say the history thing, I think, you know what, it's being a City fan, right?
But it's in the moment. But it's in the moment of.
Oh no, of course it is. So it doesn't make me.
That creates those histories, right?
No.
That creates some certain landmarks.
No. Yeah, they create landmarks in history. They don't create history. You and your mate getting chased by police and a dog, right, at a game creates history. You getting a pie and getting it down your top is history. Everything about football is history. Going to the games when you're 14 years old and sneaking in over the turnstiles is history. They're probably some of the memories that you'll remember that as much as you will remember winning a trophy. So it's to say that football is just trophies is very, but it's one of these things that as a City fan, right, and especially as a City fan that lives down south, when we moved down south, I couldn't get a shirt anywhere. My sister had to buy them and send them down.
Wow.
But no one would question when people, who do you support, or see me in the City shop. No one would ever shirt. No one would ever question me. It's just like, oh, you support City. Oh, you know what? I've got a soft spot for City. Quite like them. You know what? Even though you're in the third tier, you've got some loyal fans that you're hitting crazy attendances. Right. You fast forward to now we're winning stuff, and all of a sudden we're taking trophies off of the plates of rival fans. All of a sudden, because I have a southern accent, oh, well, how long have you supported City for? Well, you didn't ask me that 15 years ago. When we weren't good, you didn't want to know how long I supported City. But now we're crap. You wanted to say that. And then you're going to talk about oil money. Then you're going to talk about Champions Leagues. And it's just the three things that people will go to with City fans. And it's like, do you know what? If that's where it's got to, no problem whatsoever. I honestly have the amount of people that say, yeah, but you're still a little club. I couldn't give a honestly, I could not give a shit whether my club is seen as big, small, round, square, whatever. If we're winning trophies, I'm happy.
Yeah.
If I'm going to games with my friends, I'm happy. It's all history. Everything's history. It's not just trophies. Trophies are important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying forget trophies, but to say your history is solely based on trophies is not true, because, again, Notts County, I believe, are the longest running football club. Right. I mean, they haven't won that many trophies. We're going to say they haven't got history when they were the founding member of the Football League.
And they gave shirts to Juventus.
Yeah, exactly. That's history.
Exactly.
That's history.
History.
So, Anthony, what's your greatest moment for you as an Arsenal fan?
Of course, it has to be that 2003-2004 season, of course, the invincible season. There's nothing as big as that, as enormous as that. The feeling you get at winning the title. Winning
the title 11 points clear.
I'm telling you.
Imagine when we got 100 points, we won the title by 19 points.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll accept that. But I will still ask you this lone question. Is your title gold?
Well,
if it end gold, then I have.
It doesn't really mean anything. We still got more points. We still got more points than you. So you can have.
I respect that fact, but my cup is gold.
And then the other thing is,
it shows invincibility. Because even in Manchester City's
because
prime,
you actually lost 3 games that season.
City's prime, they couldn't achieve invincibility.
No, so, and do you know what? In your prime, you couldn't. And Tony, in your prime, you couldn't.
And I'm saying this with all respect.
With maximum respect. Arsene Wenger and Arsenal never, ever in your prime managed to retain. The most you could do is win it once. In our prime, we won it as a double with 100 points. Then the next season won it as a domestic treble with 98 points. So, I get you went one season, but
that's a good feat.
If we're going on that,
you can go there. You can go there with your 4 retains.
I know. I said this weren't about banter, but I mean that.
No, we can do it. We have to.
We've won it 3 times in a row, twice. But yeah, I'm not bragging.
Yeah, and you retained and you retained it 4 times.
Yeah,
and you've done the European treble. And for me, the European treble or retaining it 3 years in a row is greater than Invincibles for me, because you've been invincible 1 season, or alternatively, you've managed to beat everyone else in the league 3 seasons in a row. For me, that's greater.
Yeah,
that's greater.
I mean, for me,
but sincerely, I don't think so.
I mean, you wouldn't. You're an Arsenal fan.
No. See, it depends. It's not about being an Arsenal fan. It depends on what you feel is the biggest kind of glory. Like being an invincible.
Be that good that for 3 years in a row, you're that good that no one can touch you. Whereas all Arsenal could do is have one season, and then after that blew out.
People can replicate that form. That's the thing.
No one has, but no one has so far.
I know,
but Tony, but based on that, people can replicate your form. So people can replicate yours.
Do it this season. It's possible.
But people can replicate yours then as well.
Yeah. So
but it's not something
because you say they can't.
Easy
but
to
no
do.
one, but no one's done what United have done yet. So you can't say that's easy because no one's ever done it. Same as Invincibles.
Nobody has done what Arsenal's done.
But do you really think that any team can actually replicate being an invincible?
Honestly, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, your team managed to do it once, yeah, and then dropped off. So if I look at Pep's team that managed to retain it twice, or I look at one of Sir Alex Ferguson's team that managed to win it 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
that shows greater quality for me. It does. It shows longevity. It shows greater quality to me. But Arsenal fans will never have that. And let me be clear: I'm not downplaying the Invincibles. The Invincibles is an astonishing achievement. But this achievement that it's with Arsenal fans, it's like there is nothing better than that. And it's like for me, retaining it 3 years in a row or a European treble is better than that for me.
Yeah.
A European
Yeah,
treble. Come
No,
on.
because
Yeah.
there's
I think
see, just having that gold cup
different point.
alone, it distinguishes
Oh, but no,
yourself from every other trophy.
but Tony,
That's
in
what
that
I'm
case,
saying.
but Tony,
You're
in
like
that case, then Tony, but then in that
you're like
case,
gods
David can,
amongst men.
but then no,
That's what it
because
means.
Tony, you can't ever call Arsenal gods because you haven't got the big ears that David got. You've never touched the Champions League, so you can't put yourself in God bracket. You can't, because they've got one of them. The same season they got the league as well and the FA Cup as well. You can't say that Arsenal have achieved more than that. You can't, because you didn't play as many games that season. They had to play more games to win all 3 trophies. So it's
totally understandable, and it depends on
and
what's your
here's the
preference,
thing. Here's the
what
thing,
you
though. For
understand by
them to
greatness in
Tony,
itself.
for them
It depends
to
on what you define as greatness.
Tony, for them to do
Yeah,
European treble,
yeah.
You could not do that. Why? Because the season you went invincible, you tried to do it and you lost in Europe and you lost in the FA Cup.
Badly.
Therefore, it shows that if it's over a longer period, them lot can go harder than you lot can.
Yeah. Blue Chan says Centurions is a greater achievement than Invincible. We could go on to that, but like I said, it's not about banter. So obviously, the greatest moment.
All three of them.
So the greatest moment.
I've
not even said mine yet because me and Daps were really going into it a little bit.
You said when you went Invincible.
Yeah. But before then, there was this memorable moment. I think that was just 6 games into our Invincible season, and it was our Invincible role nearly got stopped by, of course, the one and only the Red Devil themselves, and that memorable penalty that Van Nistelrooy kind of like just fluffed his lines and lost it. It was one big moment. My heart was pounding, at that moment because I don't like Mancunians. I really don't personally. Yeah, the Man City clubs are not my thing because I felt very, very intimidated by that treble team that won. Manchester United. It really intimidated me. So I basically always wanted Arsenal to always be at the forefront against Manchester United, grind out wins against them. But at the time when that penalty came and with the whole drama, with the whole Van Nistelrooy and the whole, you understand what happened during that time. It was just a scuffle that really showed that hunger.
It showed the rivalry between
the rivalry. It just encapsulated that power and that hunger.
I think that was the thing
both
with
teams.
That was the thing with that United Arsenal era.
Yeah.
It was a real rivalry. It really was. It's important to have that as well.
Yeah, I mean, my greatest moment for United, I mean, where do I start? I mean, 99 treble. I mean,
brag about it.
I'm not going to brag. I'm not going to brag about it and go, "Well, the only club to do it." That was great. I mean, when I'm going to say I was 12, and I went crying off to my room when it was 1-0 to Bayern Munich. Yes. And then all of a sudden, my mother shouts, "We've scored!" I run back in. So I missed Teddy Sheringham's goal. I don't even know when I saw it because I don't know if I saw the replay. But obviously back then there was no internet, so I don't know how long I had to wait to watch it. Anyway, so I watched, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer scored. And as a 12-year-old, I ran straight out the front door, barefoot, running down the bloody road, shouting at the top of my voice at probably about 10 o'clock at night, and I did not care. Yeah. And but I think I'm gonna have to say probably one of my best moments was when we did the Champions League again in 2008 and did the double, because back then I was 21.
Different age. Yeah.
Meant more. Yeah. I could banter and stuff like that. So that was probably the truth. I mean, the nerves. I mean, I didn't have a heart attack that night.
I can't remember that one. I can't.
Oh,
it's weird. I can remember the first one, but I can't remember the second one.
Oh,
but that's because of my that was because of my age at the time. I wasn't as much into
well, that season, City did a double over us.
2007,
2008. You did the double over us.
Catch me on true.
You beat us. You beat us the third game of the season, 1-0 with Giovanni.
That would have been Ilano era, Ericsson, and
it might have been Ilano, but I'm sure it was Giovanni. And
yeah, it was Giovanni. Giovanni scored a
Giovanni, yeah, exactly.
I remember the goal. I remember the goal now as well. It's from outside the area, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then you beat us at Old Trafford in February, Munich Day, Benjani.
Yeah,
and that was the day. That was the day that Manchester City got respect from me for shutting up and being silent. But obviously, as I'm not surprised because as true City fans know, I can't think of his fucking name. Frank
Swift.
Yeah, Swiffy. Yeah, he died on at Munich.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So some people don't realise that, but yeah,
no.
and yet you still do get City fans mocking Munich, and then they'll.
The problem is, right? The thing is, right. So when that happens, it gets spoke about.
Yeah.
When Liverpool fans, when United fans mock Anfield, it gets spoke about. When Liverpool fans mock Munich, it gets spoke about. The fact is, unfortunately, in every single one of our fan bases, and I could go into other clubs, but they're the three real key ones. All fan bases have them, unfortunately. I've been at football and I'm hearing people singing "No Surrender to the IRA" and stuff like that. You can't control everyone in the ground, and there are some people that when they've had a drink will kind of. It's not good. It's we're anti all of it. Yeah. You should never celebrate anyone passing away. It's simple as that. No, even if you don't like them, once they're gone, don't speak about them. If you don't like them, you don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, my first Liverpool game was 09, I think 08, something like that. Berbatov hat trick at Old Trafford, 3-2. We were 2-0 up. They got back to 2 each, and Berbatov scored. Anyway, before the game, I was stood under the Munich clock by myself. I was with nobody else. I was waiting for my friend to turn up with my ticket, and all of a sudden there was about 10 or 15 Liverpool fans walking down the ramp doing aeroplane movements. Now I was by myself. I'm not a fighter. I saw red, and I stormed straight over to him, and my first thought was, I'm going to knock you all out. Like I'm gonna knock 15 people out, and I'm going to stay on my feet. That all of a sudden, some policewoman on a police horse obviously saw what happened. She literally walked in front of me, and then she just pointed at me to go back. But yeah, I literally saw red that day. Blue Chand, obviously you're a City fan. I don't understand why you're laughing at aeroplane movements when one of your own died on the Munich air disaster. But I'm not getting into it. I'm just saying. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what it means. But Daps. So obviously everybody knows City wasn't as good in the 90s, 80s, etc. So it could be one of these areas, or it could be newer. But what's your worst moment as a City fan?
I thought of this earlier. Do you know? Right. So there's two. There's one on TV because I wasn't at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Champions League final, Havertz goal.
Yeah.
However, I would say it's more because I was at the game. Real Madrid's third. Real Madrid's third this last season at the Bernabeu.
Okay. It hurt.
I hear what Blue Chan was saying. It was the way you were doing the the thing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
so
cool,
it's just, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. It was it was very because the Havertz goal against Chelsea, we weren't good that game. So at no point really did I think we were gonna. We didn't come out the blocks well. Sterling was playing, and Sterling was in bad form. Whereas we marched into that Bernabeu thinking we were going through. Right, most of the game they weren't that good. We scored the first goal. The ground was very quiet.
That's the one. That's the one where they scored like two goals in 2 seconds.
Three goals, and they scored 3 goals, and it was just the minute. Do you know what? All I can compare it to is when they scored their first, the way the ground came alive. Then they scored a second, then they scored a third. It was identical to the feeling I got about 3 weeks later at the Etihad when we scored the first against Villa. It was exactly the same reaction.
Yeah.
It was like, right, we know what we're going to do now. We know one goal. We're just going to carry this over the line now. And I think everyone knew once we got that one goal, it's like, yeah, City are just going to be relentless now. But yeah, it was probably for me the Bernabeu one.
At least you didn't need Villa to get players sent off like you did QPR 10 years ago.
Flipping out. Yeah. You thought you won the league at Sunderland. You'd not.
Anthony, what's your worst moment as an Arsenal fan?
Ooh, we've had lots of worst moments, but it was in the season of 2016-2017 Champions League, the match in Bayern Munich. Before that season, the board has already promised us that, we will be challenging for top honors. We just moved from Highbury, before that period, we just moved from Highbury into the Emirates Stadium, and we're being promised big dreams about, tussling and being with the big boys in the Champions League, and going there to create a bit of a challenge against these big wigs, and then we went to Bayern Munich, and we just lost 10-2. After being beaten 5-1 in the reverse fixture. That was the single most humiliating period with me in my life at that time, and
even worse than the 8-2.
I was so freaking angry, at the time. And Arsene Wenger is also a hero too to me. That invincible season, coming in, changing everything, his dieting changes to the team, everything about him was just so good. And it's just so crazy seeing my hero.
He made to English football. It was a change he made to English football.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly. It was just so painful seeing him just go down that path, and everyone slating him at the time, And I was a very, very big kind of like supporter of Arsene Wenger. I covered him when people were always slagging him, but after that 10-2 moment, the log in my eyes just came off, and to me, deep down in my heart, I said, at this time, I think Arsene Wenger should go. Don't destroy
Wenger.
What
Was
created.
never the issue. Wenger was never the issue.
Never. It was never the issue. It's a bigger context, but
it was never the issue. I always said, all right, cool. So you get rid of Wenger, and I kept saying to everyone, look, let's step. And I always do this when we're talking football. Let's step, especially when we're talking about owners. Let's step away from football, and imagine this is a contractor in any job, and at the end of the year, his contract gets renewed. Your contract only gets renewed if you hit the objectives that the board has set you. So Wenger kept getting these extensions because he was hitting the objectives the board was setting him. So it was like, who do you think you're going to get? You're not going to get anyone better than Wenger, because the fact is your board objectives are not good enough to attract anyone better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
you had one of the best managers in the world. And, there is an argument that he defended the board too much, but also you could say that's, you should respect him, that he defended his employees that had faith in him. But it's an argument that Arsenal fans will say that was the issue. He was defending what the board were doing, and but yeah.
But anyway, at the time, it wasn't really that it was not getting trophies at the time. It was picking up, FA Cups here and there. It wasn't just really like qualify for the Champions League. He was, churning out those FA Cups once in a while. Of course, he's the biggest manager with the highest FA Cups ever in the history of that cup game. So, he was mixing it together. But was that enough? No.
Nah,
Was
no, no,
that
no, no,
enough
no,
to
no,
keep the
no, no, no,
fans
no, no,
alive?
no.
No, it wasn't enough.
You lot had become Arsenal put themselves at the table with Liverpool and Man United.
Well, you
I
can say that.
I don't understand it, but they always have, right?
You can
Because
say
that
that.
period with Wenger, that's where they put themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, deep down, like as a City fan, we all know that to really put ourselves at that table, we also have to go and get Champions Leagues, right? Neither of us did that, but I think the minute that you were no longer in the Champions League and you weren't competing for the league, it was like, do you know what? This is a fall from grace too far now, because we still believe we were a club up there with Man United. We're not winning the leagues Man United did. We wanted to be competing every season for the Champions League, because at least we can say we're in it. We're in it. And for how many seasons was it? 18 years on the bounce, 19 years every season in the Champions League. The minute you dropped out of that, it was like, right, this is one step too far now, because we're moving too far away from where we want to be.
But again, the board never actually wanted to even activate anything in terms of sacking Arsene Wenger, because it's not even really about the objectives. He was churning out money for the team. He was churning out
Oh,
money
that's
for the
their
club.
objectives.
He was
That's their
saving money for the
objectives.
club, literally.
That's
And he came out
that is their
and
objectives.
protected the same club. So
Yeah.
whenever there was a pushback from the fans, he was that first blockage that was always waging that. He was
It's the
that
money.
barricade, between the fans and the board himself. It
But
took the whole shot that the board should have been taking all under his hammer.
it's the same
And
with
it
it's the same
angered
with the
fans.
Glazers though, that
Yeah.
for so long Woodward was it that everyone would
Ed
say
Woodward.
Woodward out, get rid of Woodward, get rid of Woodward. But the fact is, Woodward was making the owners a lot of money.
Yeah.
So why would they? So they're like,
Exactly,
again,
so,
so
yeah.
straight away the first block, the board are going, no, we're not getting rid of this man that's bringing us all this money. Are you crazy?
Exactly. Yeah.
But again,
it's always that only.
Dabs, you have to accept the fact that during that period, 2015, 2016, that period, that was the period when the influx of lots of I don't want to put it in that way, sugar daddies in the business.
It's not true. That's not true.
We're coming into
That's not
the
true.
game, and they were
That's not
pumping.
true. Tony.
But allow me to conclude
But you're
what I
wrong.
want to say.
You're wrong.
Because
You're wrong.
there was lots of money in that system. People were buying bigger players than Arsenal Football Club. It's a fact. We could not compete with Manchester City at the time,
Tony,
because you guys had the money, you guys had the funds.
But Tony, Tony, what you've basically done is you've gone and basically said when Manchester City started getting the trophies that Arsenal were getting, that's when the money came in. Not true. The money came in with Chelsea. Let's be clear. The money came in with Chelsea. Not Manchester City.
What I said was that it was.
You didn't fall off then, though. So
no,
you didn't fall off then. So you don't want to see that as the time that was issued.
Yeah, I did not say it started at that time. I said it was the crux.
No, that was the period that Arsenal fell off. That's what you said.
Yeah, exactly. It was the crux.
Yeah, I agree.
It extended.
It came in with Chelsea. It came in with Chelsea. Actually, came in. You know what? If we go back even before
to Manchester City, of course, we couldn't compete with Manchester City at the time. It's not possible.
But you couldn't compete. The thing is, it started with Chelsea. But even if you go back before then, there was. I can't remember what summer it was, but it was when I think it was Chelsea and Tottenham. One summer, all of a sudden started buying a lot of, and Tottenham got Klinsmann.
About 94.
Was it about 94?
94
yeah.
94, 95.
But there's always, look, the thing is that it's very easy, and this is the thing, that clubs will say that, Man City came in and spent money, right? I hear that. We did, 100%. And anyone that tries, it is facts. It is facts. But what you have to remember is that if that was not allowed, right, then ultimately that would mean that Manchester United and Arsenal and Liverpool and who's the original of the other four? Probably Chelsea, to be fair, would be the only four teams that ever get Champions League football, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there would be the only four teams that get money that they can then go and spend on players, because they would be earning that much more that it wouldn't be possible for any. Whereas now, because other clubs have money, it does mean that other clubs can now potentially compete. So it does make the league more competitive. Otherwise, look, let's be real. When the Premier League started, Manchester United, I got asked on one show I did, if I could change one game in life, what would it be? And I said, Manchester United v Nottingham Forest. I can't remember what year it was, in the third round of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Because
1990.
I think it was 89 actually. I think it might have been 89.
89-90 season.
Yeah, that season.
When it supposedly kept Fergie in the job.
Yeah. That game was seen as the D-Day. That if Fergie didn't, because he'd lost 8 games on a row, if he didn't win that game, the papers were saying he's gone. Right.
Yeah.
He won that game. United then went on and won the FA Cup that season. Right.
Yep.
Now, if he didn't win that game, the whole monopoly that was Manchester United winning, how many in Fergie's era Premier Leagues was it?
13.
13 Premier Leagues, right?
13,
now, how can anyone compete with a monopoly like that? Like,
Yeah.
without investment, no one could catch up with that until Fergie obviously quit, because it was too good. It was too good. People had to be able to invest to catch up with them.
Yeah.
Of course, but Fergie, but I see it in a different way. Even if Manchester City was still winning titles at the time, when they even brought in players like Tevez, Balotelli, and all these guys, when Mancini was there. I think Hughes was there first when all these players were coming.
Hughes was there first. Hughes was there when Company and Dion came in. One or two.
Somehow, without Fergie spending that much money, he was still chasing the title with Manchester City. Somehow, he wasn't spending that much like Manchester City, but somehow he was breathing down your legs.
Because do you know how long it took? No, but again, that could be what you could now say is right. It's very. There's a very simple answer to that. That anyway, I could say. Sorry, just quickly. I could say that this season, Manchester City are winning the league without spending that much money this season, because to build a squad that is repeatedly churning round is so. Man United had the squad. They'd had the squad, so that every season they only needed to buy 1 or 2 players. Now Man City are the same. We only have to buy 1 or 2 players. So it was the same with Fergie then. That he'd got the squad to the point. Look, let's be real. The one thing that Fergie did was the class of '92. That was astonishing. That was unbelievable. That's the difference.
Yeah,
that was special. But the whole money spending thing is just, again, it's a very easy way out to say that, like, to act like people all haven't spent money on players. It's just a very easy way.
It's ludicrous. Yeah. Anyway, obviously going back to the question, worst moment for United. There's a few. I mean, there's no denying it. There was a game of 2011. Daps knows about it.
Should have been 10.
A small club won beat us with when we had
the semi-final. Oh,
no,
so
no,
sorry. So that was they were both 2011 actually.
Yeah.
One was made, and one was.
I mean, that hurt just because of that. But for me, one of the worst moments for me was Cantona retiring off the.
Yeah.
He retired. He retired when I was 10, and I was like, "Why are you retiring?" It hurt, and then Ferguson retiring, and it wasn't even what's gone on since Ferguson retired. I've only known one manager in my lifetime, which was Ferguson, and it was end
of an era, innit? End of an era.
Yeah,
end of an era. Perfect. Yeah. That's a perfect wordings for that.
Do you know? I know what you mean by that. The day after we won the domestic treble, the day after, loads of us had stayed at the Hilton down opposite Wembley, because we obviously won the treble with the FA Cup against Watford. The next morning, when I woke up, I went down to breakfast, and it was full of City fans, and everyone was looking really somber.
That was like heart attack.
No, Vinny had released his, and that was for me. And I remember driving back that day. Once I dropped my mate off, driving the rest of the way home, and just thinking, and I ended up crying to myself, because it was like what his time at the club meant and everything that had happened. So during that period, I'd witnessed him lifting the trophy with my dad. So straight away, I'm like, Vinny leaving reminds me of my dad, right? Yeah. And all these different memories, and it's like, do you know what? It's the end of an era now. Like it's a new era. Vinny's going, and the thing with football is that you link it to other key milestones in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Blue Chan, what year was the Wayne Rooney overhead kick? That was 2011. I know, I was there.
Was that 11?
Yeah, it was 2011.
So that must have been like kind of about March time or something like that, was it?
It was February, I think. February or March, one of the two. I was there. It was my second Manchester derby. I was stood behind the goal, and all through the game, I was stood near the City fans, and all through the games they were singing, "He's just a fat granny shagger," and blah blah blah. Nani crosses a ball in. Wayne Rooney overhead kick. Company and Richards just gasping.
Do you know though that was a bit? Do you know what it was? It was the speed the ball was traveling at. The fact that he managed to connect on it like that was
I don't even care that
unbelievable.
it came off his shin.
I've always wanted to ask you. Of course, you've won lots of titles. You know, within this spell. No, I'm talking of Manchester City.
Oh.
Which of those 4 titles?
6 titles. 6.
No, I'm talking of the last 4. The last 4.
Okay.
The last 4 titles. Which of those last 4 titles was the most dramatic one for you? That you really had adrenaline like all over.
Oh, it was last season. It was last season.
It's last season, right? Yeah.
I mean, we've gone within a point with Liverpool twice, but the thing is that it was very the thing with last season is
how you won it.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's that last season I was doing it as a content creator and a fan, right? So if I can describe
different
it, me
emotions.
and Steve, for example, would get back from Madrid, and literally while our flight was delayed, I walk in the house. I was due to put my daughter to bed, but because the flight being delayed, I didn't get to put her to bed. Walk upstairs, give her a kiss on the head, straight out to my studio and on to Coppish with 800 Liverpool fans wanting to laugh at me, and then 3 days later we're off to another game, and it was just so emotionally draining. And then the last day just summed it all up, to be fair. And do you know what? I mean, when that ended, when we left the ground, I looked at Steve and said, do you know what? I said, I'm almost glad we didn't get to that Champions League final, because I feel like a weight has just come off my shoulder. That it's like I can enjoy my summer now. I don't have to for another week worry about going and spending time in a city with Liverpool fans. I've just done, So definitely.
Yeah. I mean, for me, some of the best moments, obviously, the '99 Champions League final. You can't. Liverpool in the FA Cup that year, we scored 2 goals in injury time. We were the injury time team, and those are the games
really were,
that mean the most. Champions League final. That's what I know it was a penalty shootout, but God, that was. I mean,
penalty shootouts are bastards.
I know. But I tell you what, in 10 years' time, I don't care who's top, who's bottom. I think I'm going to put a bet on Man City winning the fucking Premiership in injury time, last game of the season.
Do you know what? I always talk about it. Yeah, that in a weird way, I think there's a real milestone. That was when the first time we won the league. It was the fact that we won it in injury time against Manchester United, managed by Fergie, and that was his thing, and it was all right, almost like a passing of the guards. And then you look at how we've done it, and it keeps being in injury time that we do it, and it's like, is this some weird thing that we've gone, cool, we're going to have that now, and we're going to try that? But I was going to say a minute ago, one of my worst memories as well, just because of how pissed off I was, because it was at a point where we were starting to get better. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was against United. And it was when Owen scored in injury time.
Oh,
that
2009.
One, I was in Portugal, and I remember walking out of the bar I watched it in, and there was loads of little kids in United shirts around the marina. I wanted to kick them all in. I was fucking fuming, man. Fuming.
2009 it was. It was the other day, actually.
Right.
I was at home. I was sat on the chair here. My parents were sat on the sofa. My dad's a City, my mum's United. Rio Ferdinand, don't know what the fuck he was doing, flicked it up, hit Bellamy. Bellamy ran up, put the ball in past Ben Foster. The dad's cheering, oh yeah, la, we got a point.
Where's Bellamy these days? Where's Bellamy? What is he managing these days?
He's doing something. He was, he's abroad, I think.
Probably playing golf. But then Michael Owen popped up, and I just literally ran across the room, jumped on my dad, and he's trying to get me off, and I'm like, are you fucking not? And also going back, it was 2006-2007 season, we technically won the league at the Eastlands when Ben Thatcher was a dirty bastard.
Fucking hell, Eastlands, Jesus Christ! I ain't heard it called that for a while.
I call it Wastelands.
It was Eastlands, isn't it? I forgot about that.
In Manchester Stadium, but we technically won it that day. Arsenal either drew or beat Chelsea the following day, and we won it. But I say we won it at Eastlands. But we had a penalty. Ronaldo took it. Ben Thatcher should have been sent off for standing on Ronaldo. Ben Thatcher, I think it was Ben Thatcher. I know he gave the penalty away, and then about 88th minute, City won a penalty. And my dad and Darius Russell stepped up to take it. And my dad's going, "We're going to score. We're going to score. We're going to score." Edmund van der Sar saved it. Me and my mum just jumped on my dad. "Oh, you missed. But my first ever derby that I went to was with my dad. I can't really get there minus train because I don't drive. So my dad took me, and it was a League Cup semi-final in 2009-10 season, and City beat us at Eastlands 2-1. Giggs scored, and I think Tevez maybe got both of them. I'm not sure if he got both, but I know he scored one. And then it went to Old Trafford, and we were stood in the Stretford end, and we went 1-0 up. And so it was, and then we went 2-0 up, and we were singing, "Oh, we're on the road to Wembley, we should not be moved." And then all of a sudden, King Carlos Tevez scored, and the crowd went dead. I've never known Old Trafford like it. It went dead.
That might have been the cupping of the year's time, I think.
Possibly. And
I think it was.
And then we had a corner. It got Shea Given made a fantastic save. Went out for another corner. Corner comes in. Wayne Rooney, bang on his head, right in front of the Stretford end where I was stood with my dad, who's a City fan. And the first
what was he in the Stretford end with you?
Yeah. First thing I did, I jumped on him. I jumped on him, knowing he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
We end up winning. We're outside the ground, and then all of a sudden the police say, "No, stop. We've got to let the City fans out." So we're all stood there singing, "We're on the road to Wembley." All the songs. And my dad's like, "You better shut up, otherwise I'm going to leave you here." And I'm like, "No, I'm going to fucking carry on singing." So we go back to the car, and I'm singing all the way home. And he's like, "We'll get on the motorway." He's like, "You better fucking shut up, otherwise I'm gonna dump you on the motorway." I'm like, "I'm just carrying on singing," and I knew he wouldn't. I just knew he wouldn't. But Anthony, you've got your show, yeah? So do you want to shoot?
Yeah, I have a show with Deji Spores and all of the United family. Of course, it's coming to the Minority Report.
Do you want to finish it off, or do you want to call it a night?
No, we can finish it off. I've got a show at 1:30, so I'm good. We can carry on.
Okay, yeah,
no
cool.
problem whatsoever.
Yeah, all right then. Thank you, Anthony. Cheers, mate.
Okay, Dabs. Yeah, I'll talk to you later on, Dabs.
Yes,
I have to talk to you. Yeah, safe. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah. So Dabs, have you got any player that played for City that you didn't like? Not like maybe if he left, but is there any player that you've
that while he was at City?
Yeah, or maybe just after. Like, I mean, I don't like Tevez, but is there any?
I don't like Mendy. He still plays for us now.
Yeah. Sure,
I cannot stand Steve McManaman.
Oh, I can't stand that one.
Can't stand the guy.
I loved it. I loved it in 2004 on Valentine's Day when Gary Neville headbutted him in the FA Cup.
I can't stand the guy. You know what? There's an era of players that forget they played for City.
Fowler,
McManaman, Herman.
Yeah, Cole.
And they all of them. But the worst thing is that McManaman, they always put him on BT Sport to commentate on our game, and he's so biased. It's just like
he's a knob.
Just like, and do you know what? This is the thing. The one player, rival player. You asked me this as well. One rival player that I hated. Now, as a player, the one rival player that I hated the most by far and away was Neville. Because he was so United. He really was so United. Like, even the thing with when Schmeichel played for City, he wouldn't speak to him in the dressing room, right? He was so Man United, and it was just, I couldn't stand him. However, as a pundit, cool. Completely non-biased, right? And that's how you should be. Then you've got McManaman, who's just so biased. Dieter Herman, who always wants to talk about City. And the one at the moment that really is pissing me off as well is Alonso. Not Alonso. Who's the other?
Carragher.
No. He's a Liverpool player, but he's not a Liverpool legend. We interviewed him on our flipping. He played for Newcastle and he played for Man U and Liverpool and Barcelona.
Oh.
What's his name? Hold on, I'll be able to find it. But the issue with him is that it seems like he's an ex-professional footballer, and he'll come out like on when Liverpool did their title parade, who put up a picture of Liverpool's title parade saying, "See Man City, this is how a title parade should be," and it's like, you're an ex-professional footballer. What are you doing, right? You're calling out Manchester City to try and get these Liverpool fans to love you, but you're not a legend. They don't see you as a legend. They never will see you as a legend. The worst thing is the picture that he actually put up was from the previous title parade, not the one that they just had.
It's like
you know what? To be fair to him, he beat cancer.
I can't think. Yeah, I mean, for me, all day long, Paul Pogba. I wanted him out for the last 3-4 seasons.
Jose Enrique, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, left back. Yeah, I hated Paul Pogba. Couldn't stand him. I wanted him gone 3-4 years. That's one player. I'm not really somebody who will slate players. But him.
So I've always defended Pogba because I think that Pogba, when Pogba played with the right players, we've seen what he can do. I remember when we played Juventus in the Champions League, when we had Yaya and Pogba was for them, and straight away Pogba demolished us, and I said that's our Yaya replacement, right? That has to be. But then he went to you lot, and I've always defended him because it's like we've seen what he can do with Kante, we've seen what he could do with Pirlo, so we know that if you put the right guy next to him, and then the season 2 years ago, when in January you were in a title race with us, right? Yes. And that period from about November to January, Pogba had been unbelievable, right? Then he got injured, and when he got injured, United dipped. He came back from injury, and his form didn't come back. And I said, you know what it is? To keep Pogba interested, he has to be competing for something. When he's competing for something, and then I thought about it, and I'm not slandering Pogba because I do like Pogba. Yeah. I'm not anti-Pogba, but I did think, do you know what? Nah, you shouldn't need to be competing something to give you all for a team. You should give you all for a team either way. So I kind of thought, I do get it. I don't know, man. I think the hardest thing with Man United over the last 10 years is that, and it's very similar to Liverpool right now, that everyone wants to blame someone, right? When actually, do you know what it is? It's so many different things. It really is. It's so, and people point at many different things. It's just everything's got. You know what? A great example is what Arteta has done at Arsenal. He's gone in there and he's realised what I have to do here is get this whole club pulling in the same direction together, right? And Arsenal fans have been flip-flopping about Arteta in, Arteta out, Arteta in, Arteta out. He's always been working on the same process, and that is getting the club all moving in the same direction. But it's hard to do that. And that's what Ten Hag is probably trying to do right now at Old Trafford. It's get everyone there, from the dinner ladies to the players, all pulling in the same direction. Pogba. He definitely split your fan base, 100%.
Yeah. Have you ever met any players like City or any players in particular?
I've met Yaya at the train station in London.
Nice.
I used to meet. I've met Gaza.
Decent. In
Portugal. We were in a bar called Figo's Bar in Portugal.
Be a bar when it's Gaza.
And it really is, and that was true as well. And this was when he was at his worst. And in the bar, and this area of Portugal that we used to go to is, if you'd go there between May and early July, you will see footballers because it's just full of golf courses. And I remember we used to meet loads of old City players there at the timeshare, because it was around the era where everyone was buying timeshares, and you could go and basically timeshare reps would come up to you and say, if you come and have a look around our timeshare, you can use all the facilities for the day and we'll give you £50. So we'd do it, and then they'd have, you support Man City? Well, we've got this person. I think they had people from every club, so they could just do it. But so we were in a bar, and in the bar was Brian Robson,
Legend.
Mark Haitley.
No, pass.
Used to play for Glasgow Rangers with
Oh,
Ali
right.
McCoist. It was Ali McCoist. So Ali McCoist,
Decent.
lovely chap as well, and Jimmy Five Bellies, right? Remember Gaz's mate?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, imagine if Gaz was here. My mate went in the toilet and then he came out and was like, you'll never guess. I go, shut up. You didn't. He goes, no, I did. I go, yeah, just because you've seen Five Bellies, you're saying. He goes, wait. And next minute, Gazza came walking out. Then we saw him pretty much every single day for the rest of the holiday, but he was always in a bar, always just getting pissed.
Yeah, I mean, I met Lou Macari on the train going up to United a few times. I've met Mikel Sylvester after one of the games. Off the top of my head, I've not met many. I'd love to meet Cantona. If I met Cantona, I could die the next day and I'd be happy. I wouldn't care. That'd be the person who I'd love to meet the most. Ferguson as well. So, in your lifetime, what's your favorite goal? But what do you think is the best goal that you've ever seen City? So obviously your favorite, and which you think is your best ever, as in like, wow.
Right. So my favorite has to be the Aguero 93-20. Has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be. The company one's close as well. To be fair.
Which one?
The
Leicester.
one that Leicester. Yeah. And then there's a few, there's a few other ones you could mention. Thinking some King Clancy ones back in the day were just sensational.
Yeah.
But for me, and probably because of who it was against, the day it was on, and it wasn't the finish, it was the pass. Zeko's goal against United, I think it was to make it 5-1, but it was the pass from David Silva. So he's in his own area, and I think someone headed the ball out, and David Silva kind of chested it, and in the same movement, volleyed it perfectly through for Zeko to run on. It was just the pass for me. I always say that's David Silva's best ever pass because it was just the weight of the volley and to do it all in one movement. It was one of those things that people like Silva, Rooney as well, by the way. Rooney's got that in him all day long as well. You have to be Paul Scholes as well. They're the type of players that only players like that do passes like can pull off passes like
KDB.
that. So, yeah. But yeah, not KDB
Not
can pull off the pass. KDB could pull off the pass, but it was the technique of the whole movement. It was like literally the way he took it on his chest, spun his body all in one.
Yeah,
that's not De Bruyne so much. It's more a Rooney, a Silva. Yeah. It's just complete Foden probably in the future. Wouldn't surprise me. Just real technical ability.
It's like when Paul Scholes played in Soccer Aid about 2 years ago. I don't know if you and the ball came to him and he had the back to the ball. And he just I don't know. He flicked the ball with his foot, and it got to the. And I'm like, how did he do that?
Do you know what? Until I did content creation, I never thought it was a debate between Scholes, Gerrard, and Lampard. Never thought it was a debate.
I never thought it was because I put Scholes first.
But do you know what? Most people put Scholes third. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like when I look at like David Silva. All you have to do is listen to the pundits on a panel on Sky Sports talk about him. Same with Scholes. Like, who was it? Was it Iniesta got asked, what does it feel like to be the best player of all time or something? Or it might have been Zidane. And Zidane said, I don't know, go and ask Paul Scholes. And it's like, if someone like Zidane is saying that, for me, Scholes was just technically unbelievable. And the fact that Fergie even pulled him out of retirement to go again as well, I thought Scholes was proper. I've done a few best 11s ever of City and United, and we always end up with Scholes and Silva in the middle together because it would just be complete football.
I mean, for me, my best ever goal, it has to be the Rooney overhead kick. I was there. I was behind the goal. It was seeing it in the ground behind that goal was just something else. So for me, my favourite, I mean, Cantona FA Cup final against Liverpool, Solskjaer Champions League. There's too many. There is literally just too many. There is. I mean, if I was to pick if I was to take that Wayne Rooney one out and say my favourite United goal against City, I'd probably say Paul Scholes. I know we didn't go on and win the league, but when it was 0-0, I can't remember who crossed the ball in. Paul Scholes headed it. It was when he came back from his retirement, and then him and Gary Neville had that kissing moment. That was probably one of my favourite City goals against City, just because.
Tell you what, Fletcher's against us was it Fletcher's against us in the 6-1?
I think it was Fletcher. Yeah.
That was a great goal as well, to be fair.
Yeah, it was. So obviously, you've supported City for over 30 years, and etc. Have you got any funny stories like involving City, or any good stories that you want to say?
Ooh. Can I think of any?
Well, I'll go first, and while you have a think.
Yeah.
All right. So I went to United Burnley. I'm thinking it was about 2007, 2008, and it was the first game I took my mum to, and we were 3-0 up, cruising, and my mum was like, "Come on, let's go," and I'm like, "Oh, fuck off, I ain't going." 3-0 up, 89th minute, I don't care, I'm staying. And then Marm Diouf scored a wonder goal. He was like 40 yards out and lobbed the keeper, and I think it was the only goal for the club. As we were walking back to the train station, I went and grabbed myself some food, got myself a hot dog. And I'm talking to my mum, and as you know, you come out football ground, the crowd is just so bunched. So I'm talking to my mum, and all of a sudden, my mum looks, and I'm not there anymore. A bench came out of nowhere, like literally, I didn't even see it. Came out of nowhere, smacked my legs, ended up belly down on the bench, and I kept holding my hot dog. I got up, and I saw this guy was laughing, and my mum saw red in me, and she thought I was going to turn around and smack him. So yeah, that was a funny moment. Obviously, taking my dad to see City was also funny, but also I went to see United Chelsea 2018. It was my second away game, and it was at Stamford Bridge, and we were right near the pitch, and obviously I had seats next to each other, but they were separated by the steps. So my mum was here and I was here, and the steps were in the middle. We went 2-1 up, and I went crazy, and I looked over, and my mum was lying on the floor. She'd been knocked over, and I mean, she's in her 50s.
That's football, limbs.
Yeah, she's lying on the floor because she's been knocked over. Me being the gentleman, I carried on celebrating. I carried on celebrating and let people pick my own mother up off the floor. I carried on celebrating. Yeah.
Do you know what? There's probably so many if I think of them, but I can't think of them right now. The one thing that just when I look back, how naive it was. So the last game I ever took my dad to was Crystal Palace, 2011, I think it was. It was Christmas time. We were up visiting my sister, and I'd had a bit of a not falling out, but disagreement with my sisters because they kind of were like, I know. So it was the first time that they were my stepsisters, and one of them had sent a message to me saying, "I know you're like the son he never had," and to me, like he'd raised me from the age of 3, and I'd never to me he was my dad, right? And for one of them to say he's like the son you never had, it's always stuck with me. And they kind of said, but you know, he's not as healthy as he used to be, and I know you think that he'd love it, but he's just not. You know, I don't think it's right for him to go to the football. And I was like, look, if we don't go to the football tomorrow, what are we going to do? What are you lot going to do? Put him on the sofa and sit him on the sofa all day long while everyone else has a laugh and drinks and he just sits there? I said, no, I'm taking him to the football. I live with him. I know his capabilities. I didn't realise, but I got tickets. 3rd tier, Rosette. And yeah, we literally had to wait for the whole ground to clear out before we could move. And but yeah, I'll always remember that as well, though, that he enjoyed it. He had a good day. It was the last game we ever went to. But yeah, it's funny looking back at it, the fact that I went and thought, oh, we'll be fine, you know, tickets, you know, up in the gods. Yeah, it was a boring game as well against Crystal Palace, 1-1 was.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many. I mean, in a way, it was nice those 3-4 seasons where City was just getting good, and that rivalry or
Yeah,
maybe like
it
5
came
years.
back.
Like from maybe 06, 07 to when Ferguson retired, you had like 6, 7 years where the Manchester derby in my household
Do
meant
you know what it
so
was?
much.
It kind of, it's almost like when we came back to the Premier League, and I know that was a little bit before, but
Yeah, it
when
was
we
about
came back to,
3.
if I was actually looking at this earlier, and it was like there was a solid 10, 11-year period from about 92-ish to probably about 2002, where the best we did was a draw.
Yeah,
The best
yeah.
we did against.
You never beat us once.
Yeah, and it was when
Last,
we came
last
back to
win,
the Premier League.
last win was, well, actually, you've actually put. I have actually noticed 2 days ago you put your last win against us, and then the next one was actually your next one. Your first
Yeah.
one was the 5-1.
I'm doing them in order. I am doing them in order.
And then it was a goal.
But it is interesting that, like, it seems like since we've come back to the Premier League, it reignited the rivalry, and I think that period was quite ferocious. It was.
Yes.
It was.
I mean, like
probably
I mentioned,
because of the fact we've been away for so long. It was like we're back, and but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier on when we were talking about McManaman, Valentine's Day 2004. I only remember the date because my sister fucking got married, and I said, I'm not going to the wedding. I'm not going.
Well, coincidentally, my mum and dad got married.
Yeah.
On the day of, it was October 1989, and it was the day of City United derby, and it was 1-1.
Oh,
no, 1-0. It was a 1-0.
Oh, yeah. So I was adamant I weren't fucking going, and I can't remember the score at half time, but I remember just before half time, Gary Neville headbutted McManaman, and he got sent off. And it was only at half time where I find I'm going. So I ended up going to the wedding, and we're talking 2004. We didn't have mobile phones. There was no way of finding out. I'm pissed off. So we got to the football ground, and it was my small local club, and so I knew. And as soon as I got out of the car, as soon as I went up to somebody, I said, "What was the score? What was the score?" And he went, "United won 4-2." And I waited for my dad, and he drove in, and I'm like that. And but it was like I was so annoyed. I've told my missus, if we ever get married, we're getting married in the summer, because I'm not missing the derby. I'm not missing a United Liverpool game. It's never going to happen. And I mean, when I met her, she wasn't really into a football, but I have got her into a football a bit, so she knows. I mean, one of the first early memories of me and my missus, actually, quite funny. I'm not sure if I'd moved in at that point. Yeah, I had. I'd been living about 8 months, but it was when United was shit. It was like 2018 I moved in. So 2019 when Man United played PSG in Paris and Rashford scored that free kick, that was the first time my missus saw the true me. And she was busy doing her coursework for work, and Rashford scored. I went running around the fucking house like a lunatic, shouting at the top of my voice, running outside, everything. And she literally shouted at me, but she's got used to it now. And if you've seen my reactions after goals on my Instagram, you'll know what I'm like. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
No, enjoyed it. Love talking football.
Same time next week, 7:00, to discuss the
upcoming derby. Fucking hell, yeah.
Upcoming derby, yeah. Eastlands, Wastelands, City of Manchester, Etihad.
Definitely not the Wastelands, is it?
Empty
thriving part of Manchester now. Definitely not empty either, is it?
Yeah. It won't be next. It won't be the.
Never is.
You only come play United.
No.
It's your cup final. But yeah.
When did you last win one of them, by the way, a cup? When did you last win one of them?
4 years. Yeah. But it was a European trophy. Yeah.
Well done. Europa League. You win that this season as well, aren't you? You didn't make the Champions League.
We didn't want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thursday nights and you Wednesdays.
We thought we'd let a small club like Tottenham compete in it for a change. It's just like literally before we go. It's like I've said on numerous since the Arsenal game. I'm confident that United might win the league this year. People have laughed at me, and I don't care.
We'll do this next week.
Sorry,
we can do that next week.
Yeah, and I honestly think we've got a good chance of winning the Premier League. And fuck, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah,
was it the pig flying by that?
No. I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah.
Well, we'll discuss it next week.
Yeah, that's
discuss it next week.
Yeah, that's it. The Premier League has been going on tour around England. We've been renting it out for 10 years, going on the tour of London, Liverpool, City.
Well, it hasn't really gone on much of a tour, to be fair, has it? It's spent most of its time in Manchester
clubs.
still.
Yeah, 4 clubs. No, 5. Chelsea, Leicester, Liverpool, City.
That's it. 4.
Yeah. Anyway, mate, thank you again for coming on. And
see you next week.
Nice. It's actually nice to get to do a show with you, because I've seen some of your content and it's really good. So if you want to quickly tell people where they can find you,
Never a Foul.
Yep.
YouTube channel.
Perfect, mate.
See you next week.
Bye bye.
See you. Bye now.